Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Shafqat Hussain Shah with third lecture of the novel Prisoner of Zenda. And in our previous two lectures, we discussed some of the characters of this novel. The first one of them, the hero, Rudolf Rasendel. The second character, which can be taken as the renowned from this novel, the villain of this novel, his half brother, Blake Michael, or the Duke Michael. Princess Flavia, somehow she also have been introduced in this novel. There is another character, Madame de Mauban, who is supposed to be the lover of Black Michael Duke. There are some small characters. For suppose, in the first chapter, there was the character of Lord Ballaston, means the brother of Rudolph Rassendyll, and Lady Rassendyll. Lady Ballaston means the sister-in-law of Rudolph Rassendyll. There were two other characters, George Featherley and Bertrand Bertrand, who met with Rudolph Rassendyll in France, but their character was limited to the chapter 2 early. Now there are other characters. Now Rassendyll has stepped into the Rutania. He is staying into an inn, or a kind of a temporary place, which is owned by a lady, a fat old lady, and two of his daughters. They are the owner of that place. Now he is standing. He has been resided there. He is staying there. There are some other characters which are introduced in this novel in the chapter number 3. For suppose Colonel Sept. Colonel Sept, he is in the service of the King Rudolph, means he is accompanying the king. King is also in the same area, means the shooting lodge of Zenda, where he is accompanied by Colonel Sept and another one with another Fritz von Tarellam. Fritz von Tarellam is also in the service of the King Rudolph, and both of them, one is the aged old one, and the second one is a young man. Both of them are very much loyal to the king. What happens in chapter number 3? The title of this is A Merry Evening with a Distant Relative. Merry means happy. Happy evening with a distant relative means a relative which is from far, means very not a very near relative, but which has connection with you from far or the remote areas. Colonel saved Fritz von Terlum and the King Rudolf meet Rassendel by chance the next day in the forest of near Zenda. They are astonished at his resemblance to the king, means that the face or the body or the complete physique of him was very much resembling to the king. The king discovers the blood relationship that has produced the amazing resemblance, is amused and takes Rasendal back to the lodge for an informal supper. At the supper, the king drinks a bottle of rare old wine, a present from Michael. So this can be said the summary of the chapter number 3. Now there we take some of the lines or some of the quotes to understand better about this chapter. John arranges accommodation of Rasental for Rasental in Strelsa. Who was John? John was the gamekeeper, मीन्स के जो शिकारगाह का जो मुहाफिज होता है एंड he saw Rudolf Presental in that inn where he was staying. First of all, he was surprised to see him just because John has seen the king, and now as he saw Rudolf Presental, he was surprised to see his matching face with the king or the matching body with the Rudolf Presental. Then he offers him that if you want to go to Strelsa, then there is a sister of him, and as she has got lodging, and she had invited John to attend that coronation. Now, as John is not able to go there, so Rasendal gone there in place of him, and had invited him to occupy a room in her house, but now he found that his duties would not permit of his absence. He begged, therefore, that if such humble lodging would satisfy Rasendal, and he would take his place. So this is a kind of a good offer. Previously, you see that in novel, Rasendal was looking confused or worried on the basis because he couldn't get opportunity of a better lodging in the Strelsa. Because of that, he stayed in Zenda. Now, a kind of a favor luck has given him that he got opportunity of staying in at the capital, means the Strelsa. Rasandal agrees and plans to walk through the forest. Now, there is a kind of a desire or ambition inside him that he should see the forest of the Zenda. I decided to send my luggage direct to the address which John had given, take my walk and follow to Strelsa myself. Now there was a suggestion came to him by someone that after passing through the forest he can directly reach to the station. So directly sent his all kind of baggage or luggage to the Strelsa to the address which was given to him by John, and he decides to walk through the forest of Zenda. Rassendyll describes the castle in Zenda. Now, on his way, he saw the castle of the Zenda that was the property of the Michael, and he was amazed to see the beauty of it. The old and the new portions were connected by a drawbridge. The drawbridge is a kind of a bridge which that can be drawn, means it runs on the roller skates. And this indirect mode of access formed the only passage between the old building and the outer world, means the castle had two parts. One is the older one, and the second one was the new one. And both these parts were connected by that drawbridge. But leading to the modern Chatu. Chatu is a kind of a place that is owned by the great people in the past. For suppose you can call it a palace. There was a broad and handsome avenue. Avenue is a kind of a road on the two parts of which, on the both side of which, you can see the trees grown. Broad means wide. Rascendel. Rascendel tells as a dream. I had fallen dreaming that I was married to the Princess Flavia and dwelled in the castle of Zenda. Dwelled means lived. As he was enjoying the beauty of that place, he was having a cigar in his mouth, and as he smoked it, he went in sleep and he started to see a dream that he himself had married with Princess Flavia, and now he is enjoying and he is living in the life in the castle of Zenda. Now, Seft's comments on resemblance between Rasendal and the king. Now, as he was sleeping, two of the persons came nearer him. One was Colonel Sapt, another was Fritz von Terelem. Both were in service of the king. King was also coming behind them, but he was still far from them. Now, these are the comments which were passed by Colonel Sapt. Why? The devil in it means there is no doubt in it. Shave him and he would be the king. Rasendal had beard, cap beard, and the king hadn't. So he says, okay, if you shave him, then he will be the duplicate of the king. At this stage, we learn about Rassendel's facial hair and height. Rassendel had heavy mustache and carefully pointed imperial and 6 feet 2 inches of a stature. So this is the physique that is told here for the first time in this novel. Rassendel describes Colonel Sapt was a rather short and very stoutly built, with a big bottle-shaped head and a bristly grey mustache and small pale blue eyes and a trifle bloodshot, means he was of red color. So this is the physique that is told by Rasendal about Colonel Sapt, that he was a kind of fat build, and he had very hard grey mustache and trifle bloodshot, means a small kind of red color he had. Rasenthal describes Fritz. Fritz was a slender young fellow. Slender means he was a thin sort of person of middle height. Dark in complexion means his color was dark, and bearing himself with grace and distinction means he also got the dignities in personality. Rasenthal tells Rudolph 5 that he has been in the British Army once for a year or two. I held a commission from Her Majesty the Queen. He also let him know when he meets the king. He says him that he has also remained a soldier, as he has been in service of the queen for many times. Rasendes is surprised at the likeness of Rudolph V. Likeness means the resemblance or the sameness. The king of Ruthania might have been Rudolph Rasendal, and I Rudolph the king. किंग मेरी जगह ले सकता था और मैं किंग की जगह ले सकता था, दोनों. देर वॉजेंट एनी डिफरेंस एट ऑल बिटवीन ईच ऑफ अस. हमारे दरमियान कोई डिफरेंस नहीं था. ईच वन ऑफ कुड हैव टेकन प्लेस ऑफ ईच अदर. हम में से कोई भी कोई बन जाता, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. वी वर सो क्लोज टू ईच अदर. Rudolph V is extremely happy to meet his distant relative. Rudolph V burst into merriest fit of irrepressible laughter, means que he started to crack laughters, which rang through the woods and proclaimed him a jovial soul. Jovial soul means que he's a kind of person who remained happy always. Proclaimed means announced. Despite astonishing likeness, Rasindal points out some differences. The king's face was slightly more fleshy than mine, and his mouth lacking something of the firmness which was to be gathered from my close shutting lips. He says here that the king face was, my face was thinner than, somewhat thinner than the king. So this is a small sort of discrimination or difference that we had. But in spite of all the things, both were very much close to each other. After supper, they all them talk differently when they got drunk. During supper means during their dinner. They when they were enjoying the wine, when they were drinking, they talked on different subjects. The king began talking of what he would do in the future, old shaped of what he had done in the past, fruits of some beautiful girl or other, and of the wonderful merits of Ilford dynasty. Rasendel describes the bottle of drugged wine brought by Joseph. Now, from these three, four lines, we can guess, we can have idea their interest or their pursuits. The king talked about that how he would do in the future and how he would behave. Old shaped of what he had done in the past means he had remained a kind of a veteran soldier in his past. Fritz, being young man, he was interested in the beauty of the girls and he talked about it. Whereas Rasendal himself, who had come to see the Elfberg dynasty or the series of monarchs from close-up point of view, so he visited Rotania. Here he also shows the merits or the qualities of that dynasty. Ascendal describes the bottle of the drugged wine brought by Joseph. There was a servant of named Joseph. And at last, when the king was tired from all sort of other wines, he was presented by a wine bottle that was especially given by his half brother, Duke Michael, to the Joseph, his servant. As Joseph said before the king, a marvelous old wicker covered flagon, a kind of a bottle, it had lain so long in some darkened cellar that it seemed to blink in the candlelight, as there were only candles to light that room. Their beauty are kind of a light that was coming from that bottle, and it was directly coming into the eyes of the people is what it was looking that it was kept so long in a kind of a dark room that now it is causing trouble to the eyes. The bottle was different from normal bottles. This is why the Brodel Rosendal has tried to mention few lines about it here. Rudolph V refuses to share this wine with anyone. After Tas getting a taste of it, now he becomes so amused and it was so delicious in taste that Rudolph announces that he would not give even a single sip of it to anyone. So he says, everything is yours to the half of Rotania, but ask me not for a single drop of this divine bottle. He calls that bottle divine because it was so pleasurable, it was so tasty, and he enjoyed it a lot. And for this, he praises his brother. So this chapter includes some other facts. That is the an accidental meeting between the cousins, mean the Rudolf Rasendels and Rudolf Ilfberg, which who is going to be the who would have been the king on the next day. And the king invites his cousin brother to the shooting lodge where they enjoy the supper or the dinner, and after dinner they are served with different kind of wines. And lost a bottle of wine that was presented was given by the Duke Michael that was presented to the king. The king himself drinks that all. And what happens after drinking that bottle on the next day? Now that will be discussed in chapter number 4. Thank you.